what? Okay, now we are private sector. You also private sector. I'm also a private sector. Plus of Maida. Can someone advise the government what kind of structural change that should take place? For example, simple example. You mentioned earlier now the fact that we have got all these big projects going on and all this fantastic. I mean, no one can take away from that. The question is there a trickle-down effect? Are the poor benefiting from all the major projects? Of course, many of them are getting jobs, okay? But how come there is this pervasive discontent that appears to you talked about it, everyone is talking about it. Why is that? How come we've got 2 million or odd foreign workers in Malaysia, yet Malaysians are unemployed? How is that? It's a very funny situation, okay? Should we then, Tansi, as part of structural change, talk about, look at Singapore. Singapore is building roads, Hong Kong is building roads. All the guys are building the same thing. But they're doing it by paying higher wages, Should we then bite the bullet on this? Pay higher wages and force our private sector to start going more technology intensive, and using more the brain power rather than sheer labor power to get things done, you see. And then we raise the income level of the poor. Okay. Should this be one viable strategy?
Right, okay.
Then we struggle. Okay.
All right, thank you, Datuk Jega. Thank you so much for your input. Right, 2 questions.
I think this is becoming a friendly chat here. Another good friend of mine. He has done a great deal at Maida and all that.
Right,
and
okay.
he knows what he's talking about.
His first question was, okay, is the government going against what they used to do? Now they're more into business and letting the private sector taking care of the business. What do you think?
This has been a bogey with government. Partly it's because of the way they looked at the NEP. The new economic model was really recommended to government and government accepted it but did not implement it. That's another big problem.
Yes.
If you use the old ideas of the NEP, we're not going to go far. That is why you have so much of government participation in business. All we got to do is adopt a new economic model which encourages competition, prepares Bumiputras through a good education system. Again, we come to that. Make them competent, and I know a lot of Malay friends who are really good.
Right.
Top class universities, top class colleges, high performance. But if I was one of them and I knew I had a nice clear path ahead, I don't have to struggle for it.
Right.
I will get spoiled. Ini manja-manja lah. So I don't think government is adopting the right. They are not fair to them also.
Okay.
If I was a Bumiputra, I'm good, and if I'm qualified, I'm really good. Why should I give the impression or others feel that I'm not good, that I need to be helped?
Okay.
It's a psychological problem,
Right.
Doesn't encourage them to compete. In the longer term, they may lose out, and government is really spoiling a whole generation again and again.
Right.
So I agree, government should not be in business to do business.
Right.
Not be in the business or doing business.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Before we go to the second question, we need to go for a break, our last break. And when we come back, we'll go to a second question from Datuk Jega. So stay here on BizTalk. Right, thanks for staying with us on BizTalk. If you have any comments, you can email us at biztalk@bernama-tv.com, or you can tweet us at biztalk502, or you can call us right now at 0326937008. Right, before we go back to Datuk Jega's second question, we have a package on public's opinion on today's topic. So let's take a look.
A happy citizen can contribute gradually to the development of our country through increased productivity, and I'm here to get the people's opinion about happiness index in our country.
I guess in terms of wages, we are still very low compared with other countries. And if you were to look at the inflation rate and the cost of living, it doesn't really match. On the other hand, we can see the rate doesn't show very high, but in actual, the prices are quite steep.
Currently, our living standard is very high, which is not totally match the income range, of which it's quite expensive to spend for your day living. I mean, like to buy food, all those things. which is your income still at middle range, doesn't increase.
I think a lot of people are unhappy in this country, but I think instead of just making complaints, I think those complaints can be directed constructively for everyone to just stand up on their own and start creating their own happiness in this country.
I think the government should do organize or examine or analyze or re-examine again the cost of living of the citizen. Okay, you have to balance with the high-ranking person and the lower-ranking person.
Yeah, it's rapidly growing compared to last time, and people are doing more business like MLM, and then everyone have more money to spend and then grow themselves in economy-wise.
Those are people's comment. Hopefully, the relevant government agencies will consult with the public, the professionals and academia to make the Malaysian Happiness Index much more inclusive of the structural transformations for achieving greater national unity. I'm Kalaivani Munusami for BizTalk.
Right, thanks, Kalag. There's a lot of comments from public. Most of them, they are concerns that, the cost of living is too high, even though governments are giving this and that. So it's still not enough. So in your opinion, what should we do?
Inflation is a serious problem that is not talked about.
Right.
There, I would be inclined to doubt the figures.
Right.
There are many ways of measuring inflation. It depends on the basket of goods and services. If you have something very generic and general, the low-income groups may not be adequately covered. And their prices, you go and eat some satay today, the steak is getting smaller and smaller.
It's getting...
You go and eat roti canai, it's getting smaller and smaller. And the price may be going higher and higher. Well, what is the cause? Again, structural. Lack of competition.
Right.
Too many licenses going to the wrong chaps. You drive on the road, you got potholes. It's repaired every 6 months.
Yes.
Why? Because you're giving to the wrong contractors. You want to give it to Bhumi contractors or others, give the guys who are well equipped, who are trained, who have got a track record. But you give it to the wrong chaps for political reasons, you must face this consequence. So you're spending more to get less.
Right.
And this is the wastage. Now, wages must be increased, I agree, but it must go up in tandem with productivity.
Right.
Otherwise, you cause inflation again.
Yes.
There again, people are not trained, or those on the job need to have their skills upgraded so that they qualify for better pay.
Right.
Just giving pay is like just having a welfare state, and that's why Europe has failed.
Right.
That's why the Americans have a big problem. We don't want to go into that way. That's why Australia also, fellas get welfare and go to Bondi Beach and have a good time.
Right.
Now, this is all inflationary. So we have lost our core values.
Right.
Nilai is lacking. And we must go back to fundamentals, where we teach us to earn an honest day's wage. And it's in the Quran, it's in the Bible, in the Vedas, and everywhere. Be worthy of your wage. But we have forgotten that, and so we are paying the price.
Right.
I agree it's a struggle. But again, it's leadership and government of the day, whoever they are, who must push for better productivity, greater discipline. That's part of structural change. It's the mindset, that needs structural change too. And we have issues, I call it the 4Ks, that are the evils in our society. C or K, corruption, cronyism, crime, and ketuanan. You know why people are unhappy?
Right.
If everybody is poor, people won't be so unhappy.
Yes.
But some are rich and getting richer, and the poor getting poorer, relatively, they feel upset. So why don't we concentrate on basic needs? Everybody just wants basic shelter, clothing, proper education, a better chance for their children, good public transport. Government is doing, but these areas were neglected because we went for growth. and not so much on distribution,
Right.
income distribution,
Right.
which means poverty eradication. So now we should shift our policies, have structural changes in our policies which enable the country to move forward, at the same time strengthen the incomes of the low income groups.
Right.
Orang kaya boleh jaga diri lah. Don't worry about getting more investors and all that. You get a good climate
Right.
where there's fairness. Fairness is the key word, where there's security, where there's less corruption, less cronyism, investors will come.
Right.
We don't have to give them all the incentives and waste a lot of money either.
Mhm.
So that's my message.
All right.
You got to look after the poor. You got to have structural change, like I've described,
Okay.
particularly in education, to be able to move forward.
Right. We are almost to the end of our show. So for a last word from you, what do you hope in 2013 towards 2020?
I know that it's difficult for any government anywhere in the world to take tough action before an election. So, bagilah chance sikit.
Okay.
Tapi selepas election pilihan raya, if the government doesn't really embark upon tough measures to increase productivity, competition,
Right.
fight corruption, fight cronyism, I think we will be in trouble.
Right. Okay.
So I hope the government of the day after June, for
Okay.
example,
Okay.
will really steer this country more to the NEM and forget the bad elements of the NEP.
Right. Okay, thank you, Tan
Thank
Sri,
you.
for being with us and give us some inputs. And thank you for our callers, Datuk Jega, Tan Sri, Robert Pang, for giving us some inputs. And thank you so much for tuning in with us on BizTalk. And until we meet again next year, and from BizTalk crew and myself, we would like to wish everyone a happy new year. May 2013 brings happiness and prosperity all year long. Be safe, everyone. And with that, I'm Sureti Sanusi. Goodbye.
Happy New Year too,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you, Tan Sri.
Terima kasih.